Hello friends, in this session we are going to discuss the next topic, that is non-positivist methodologies. Okay, so we have already discussed positivism, and here we will look into non-positivist methodologies. And what we can do is we can quickly go for a recap of positivism, and we will discuss positivism. Okay, because if you get a question on non-positivism, even then you have to briefly mention about positivism, and then you need to mention the criticisms on positivism or the positivist approach, and then the transition, that is interpretive approach by Weber. So Weber is actually the bridge between positivist and non-positivist. So from positivism, then criticism, Weber made the initial transition. Okay, and then we discuss non-positivism, and fundamentally we will discuss phenomenology and ethnomethodology here. Okay, apart from that, then we will proceed further. Before you end the answer, we will also talk about postmodern approach, combining both positivist and non-positivist element, like internal and external, macro, micro, quantitative, qualitative. The combination also we will discuss, and then we will conclude in a proper way. Okay, so this is how it has to be written when you are writing your answer. So if you remember, when we discussed about positivism, I have already told you that positivism is actually objective study of objective reality. So the question is what you study and how you study. So this is the fundamental point that you need to answer: what you study and how you study, right? So what you study, external, in positivism, external reality, which is objective reality. How you study, objectively. So objective study of objective reality. Now what happens when it comes to Weber? Weber deviated from positivism in terms of what to study. So external matters or the quantifiable matters is what you focus when it comes to positivist approach, but Weber deviated there from what to study. So for Weber, the subject matter is internal meanings, motives, emotions, not external. So you can see there is a shift, right? But here Weber deviated from the subject matter, what to study, but how to study remained the same for Weber, and he maintained the same positivist approach, like you should study by ensuring maximum possible objectivity, by using scientific methods, establishment of cause and effect, and establishment of cause and effect, theory building. All these have been emphasized by Weber. Okay, so what does that mean? Weber, there is a deviation, but that deviation is in terms of subject matter. Instead of external, this is internal. Internal means, can I say now the subject matter is a subjective reality? Because meanings, motives, emotion are not quantifiable and very subjective. So what is the approach of Weber? If you put it in a single definition: positivism, objective study of objective reality. What about Weber? Objective study remain the same, but subjective reality. I hope this is very clear. This is the fundamental understanding. Once you're done with this, it's over. Because ultimately what I'll be concluding is, in 3 sentences, I'll conclude positivism, Weber approach, Weber and Mead together we can put, okay, we can keep, and then non-positivism. So what is positivism? Objective study of objective reality. Both are objective. So what to study and how to study. So objective study of objective reality, right? So these are the 2 things that we need to answer. What about Weber? Objective study, how you study objectively. What you study? Subjective reality, meanings, motives, emotions, etc. So objective study of subjective reality. Do you want me to write it completely? I'm assuming that you will be able to understand this. If you want, I can write here: objective study of objective reality. That's the first case, positivism. Weber, objective study of subjective reality. Now tell me what it will be when it comes to non-positivism. They deviate completely, both in terms of what and how, which means in terms of subject matter and on how to study also they will deviate. What to study and how to study, both they will change from positivism. So here, what to study will be same as that of Weber. Weber deviated from positivism on what to study, because positivism it is external aspect, Weber it is internal aspect, meanings, motives, etc. Pure non-positivists follow Weber in that way. Okay, so for them it is subjective reality, meanings, motives, emotions, internal aspect for non-positivist. Society is formed because of these meanings, motives, emotions, etc. But how you study, it is very difficult to study these objectively. There is no question of objectivity, no question of theory building for non-positivist when it comes to pure non-positivism. There is no objective reality beyond these subjective meanings. So try to understand the meanings and interpret that. That's all about non-positivist approach, and it is very subjective. So what to study? Subjective reality. How to study? Subjectively. So how can I put it? If this is objective study of objective reality, second one objective study of subjective reality, this is going to be subjective study of subjective reality. I hope if you understood this, the game is over. Now we just need to see, when we discussed about positivism, we put, to fill the gap, we have kept some thinkers and their thoughts and other things and elements. Similarly, here when we discuss about non-positivism also, we'll have to put some thinkers, Alfred Schutz, Peter Berger, Luckmann, Harold Garfinkel. We'll bring in all these thinkers and their views and the elements and the criticisms and finally the conclusion. So this is what ultimately I want you to understand. Only this, if you understood, you're done with this topic. Positivism, interpretive approach and non-positivism. You're done. If you have a clear understanding of this, everything else, that is ready-made. You don't want to attend the lecture or you don't want to understand anything, just mug it up and you can just fill the blanks. Okay, so this is what I wanted to focus. So now the context and everything is very clear for you. Sociology emerged. Initial sociologists wanted to make it similar to natural science. Initial approach was positivism, and then criticisms came because positivism is a fundamental misunderstanding of society. You are considering only external aspect, ignoring the internal aspect. So you need more understanding. So non-positivist, idealist came first, because entire society is defined and changed based on the ideas generated in the minds of the individual. Think about Facebook. That's an idea which came in the mind of an individual, and how society, social world, connections and everything have changed. Right? So everything in society changed based on the ideas generated in the minds of the individual. So which one is important? Society or ideas or internal aspect? So that is idealist, and then develop, then Weber, and then non-positivism. So, in the late 18th century and early 19th century, an alternative school of thought emerged to challenge the positivist approach in sociology. The new perspective, broadly referred to as idealist or non-positivist, they emphasize the unique nature of social world and the importance of understanding human actions through their internal meanings, symbols and values. Okay, other side, external aspect. So if you look at that late 18th century positivist approach dominating that time, from the beginning of emergence of sociology to almost till late 18th century, early 19th century, idealist thinkers, they challenged positivist assumption. Mid of 19th century, non-positivist methodologies gain attraction in sociological research. So they have made it very clear in the studies of, William Dilthey, Heinrich Rickert highlighted the fundamental difference between the natural world and social world. So they argued that the social world is unique in terms of meaning, symbols, values that govern it. Okay, while the natural world is guided by the laws of nature. And this perspective laid the groundwork for the basic of non-positivist approach in sociology, and they gave or emphasized the importance of understanding internal aspects of social phenomena. You can just read these and you can just fill into whatever we have discussed. Okay, so I'll give you the PDF. The link is given in the description. The complete PDF you can download. If you are interested in the classes also you can take from there. Mentorship 1-to-1, in case if you're interested, you can come on a 1-to-1 call and then we can discuss that also. So the ideas generated in the minds of individual and social phenomena are the result of those ideas. So history actually shaped by the ideas. If you look at Industrial Revolution also, the ideas, the machines, instruments have changed things, right? So the ideas generated in the minds of the individual, and that's about Hegelian speculative philosophy. Now the emergence of non-positivist approach. See, positivism sees society as a given and man as governed by its rules. So when we discuss about positivism, society have its superiority. Society is supreme. But when we discuss non-positivism, individual is supreme. So on one side, when we talk about society as supreme, that's a macro understanding. Here, individual importance, which is a micro understanding, right? But there are limitations for both. So individual decisions are guided by society. Why you are preparing for civil services? It's not only your motivation, societal values also there. But simply because society is telling you, will you prepare? Then everybody should have prepared for the exam. So individual motivation is also required. So positivism also, there is some mistake. They are ignoring micro. When it comes to non-positivism, they are ignoring the influence of society. So positivism, this approach, giving importance to society, ignoring individual values, this approach focusing more on individual, ignoring society's influence. So both have its limitation. So later from 1930s, 40s, 50s, you can see combination of these two approaches, micro and macro, in the writings of Webb, Parson, Merton, etc. Okay. Non-positivism view man as an independent thinking being who can influence society. Positivism, society can influence the individual and individual work in accordance with the society's rule. Traditional society more of like that, modern society more of this. Okay, now focus, try to gauge what does inside of man and how it is going to affect the society. That's what non-positivists do. Now, Max Weber's contribution, I've told you, Max Weber is considered to have bridged the gap between the two in his interpretive approach. And after that, we need to discuss about symbolic interactionism by Mead, but I'm not focusing that here, and this also not much we are interested to discuss here, because I'll be dealing that in detail when it comes to Weber in the Thinkers chapter and Mead in the Thinkers chapter. So here, this portion, whatever I have discussed, that's enough for Weber, but Mead we need to discuss in detail in Thinkers. Symbolic interactionism is a separate theory for you, right? But you can just write 1 or 2 lines from that when the situation demand. And Weber, he defined the subject matter also to study social action and understand the meanings attached by the actor to the action and arrive at an explanation of cause and effect. Okay, so what he's saying, sociology is basically to study social action and the meanings attached by the actor. Meanings you need to study, which means internal aspect, subjective study or subjective reality. But they arrive at an explanation of cause and effect, which means what? Positivist aspect. So both are there. So subjective reality you are studying, objectively you are studying. So again I will be telling you, you just remember like this, objective, subjective, right? So positivism, both are objective, what to study and how to study, objective. Non-positivism, both are subjective, subjective study of subjective reality. Weber, you need to study objectively, but what you study, meanings. So objective study of subjective reality. Guys, if you are a first timer and listening to this, you may think that what this person is talking about, going so fast and everything, but these are lectures which are given for the mentorship students as a revision classes. So that's the reason why they can easily understand, and this is just a 30-minute lecture where we are covering the entire topic. So don't think that this guy is not a good teacher who cannot teach this concept and making it very complicated. In fact, these are discussed, these are covered, and they have written an exam paper also, and then again revisiting and revising this. So this is the pace at which I have to go, otherwise they feel it is boring. And it is not done for basically the first timers, but still I am making sure that 95% of the first timers will also understand things if you have some Okay. Now various methods also, guys. Again, I'm skipping the method because Verstehen, separate question. We will deal that in Thinkers Weber. Comparative method, again, separately we will be studying. Ideal types, many times question has been asked. Verstehen also, this also. Yeah, this is what we have discussed. Weber, objective study, subjective reality. So that's why consider to have bridged the gap between the two. Now, can you now expect a question like this? Why can't you make a question now? What could be the best question that can be asked about Weber in this context? Weber is considered to have bridged the gap between the positivist and non-positivist. Discuss. So here the best way to explain how he considered to have bridged the gap between the two, talk about objective study of objective reality, subjective study of subjective reality, in between objective study of subjective reality. One from here, one from here. Okay. So he changed the subject matter. Weber argued that task of sociology is to study human action and the meanings attached by the actor to the action. So study action and meaning, but what he's saying at the same time, he maintained that science of society should be based on scientific methods. So where have you seen this use of scientific methods? Positivism. Establishment of cause and effect, positivism. And establishment of cause and effect relation. So this dual approach led some to argue that Weber is positivist in terms of method of inquiry, that means how you study, and non-positivist in terms of subject matter or the scope of sociology. Perfect. So guys, these are sentences which you can cut, copy, paste exactly the same way. Don't apply your brain. Okay, just cut, copy, paste. Interpretive sociology, so giving importance to individual will more important than society. So recognizing the voluntary nature of human actions and consciousness, acknowledging the unpredictable nature of human thought, and using scientific methods, understanding cause and effect. Okay, so focusing on the meanings actors attach to their action. So you need to study social action and how to establish the cause and effect relation, understand the meanings attached by the actor to the, I am teaching here. What could be the effect of this? How can you understand that? If you can study the meanings attached by the actor when performing the action. So I want certain things, that's why I am doing this action. If you can understand that meaning, then it is easy to establish the cause and effect. Guys, symbolic interactionism, symbols, meanings, focus on small scale interaction, interpretive process, everything we will cover in detail in Mead, okay? But you just need to write 1 or 2 lines here, because question is about, they will either specifically ask about phenomenology, short answer, ethnomethodology, or they will ask about non-positivism, and what all things you will write there. Non-positivism, basically you need to write phenomenology and ethnomethodology and Weber. But starting you need to write positivism, you need to write the criticism, build the context, talk about Weber, then phenomenology, ethnomethodology, and later postmodern approaches and the combinations, everything you need to write. So where you will fix Mead, 1 line is what actually possible. Okay, so one day we are going to spend for entire theory. From that you just need to write that intro 1 line. So that's why I'm not wasting time here. Okay, now ethnomethodology. See guys, ethnomethodology is all about understanding. That's it, okay? Interpretation. Subjective meaning is what you need to know. There is nothing beyond, there is no objective reality beyond the subjective meanings according to them. So developed by Harold Garfinkel in his book, Studies of Ethnomethodology. And this perspective focuses on understanding reality. There is no theory building or anything. In terms of methods and views used by people in their day-to-day lives. So it is defined as a study of common sense knowledge and the range of procedures by which ordinary members of society make sense of and act on their circumstances. So that's what ethnomethodology, it uses, phenomenology we missed. Yeah, let's first discuss about phenomenology and then we go back to ethnomethodology. Okay, so phenomenology. So phenomenology represents the most radical departure from positivist perspective. So here, complete shift, objective understanding of objective reality to objective understanding of subjective reality, now completely subjective and subjective. So total shift from positivist approach, and took shape in the writings of Alfred Schutz and Berger and Luckmann, Peter Berger and Luckmann, in their book Social Construction of Reality, focuses on the subjective understanding of subjective reality. Are you getting this keyword, subjective understanding of subjective reality? Phenomenologists argue that human beings make sense of the world by imposing subjective meanings. We understand the world from the meanings that we develop, and there is no objective reality beyond these subjective meanings and interpretation of the individual as we make. And this perspective emphasizes the need of sociologists to immerse themselves into the areas of life they seek to investigate, rather than attempting to fit into, data collection, theory building, generalization, testing, and all those things. So Alfred Schutz laid the basic foundation of phenomenology theory. It focuses on understanding subjective meanings rather than theory building. Try to understand and interpret the meanings. Berger and Luckmann formalized this perspective in the book Social Construction of Reality, Immersive Research. Now, ethnomethodology, Harold Garfinkel studies in ethnomethodology and focuses on understanding reality in terms of methods and views used by people in their day-to-day life. It's kind of common sense understanding. See, it uses method of accounts. That means the stories that people tell to understand the situation. I'll try to explain this. Let's say there's a sport, some accidents or something happened, or anything that you want to study. I want to study about this accident. So there might be people who have witnessed. Some people will be standing here, some might have witnessed, some might not have witnessed, some might have got some idea from others, some might have developed some idea from their own. Okay, now you want to study this. It could be anything. I'm just considering it as an accident. Okay, so you as an investigator, what you will do is, you'll ask to this person, you'll ask to this person, you'll ask to this person, and collect individual data. This is what you mean by method of accounts. Okay, so you collect the individual data, and as an ethnomethodologist, you select the relevant data from them. So when you collect the individual data, they all will give you stories of their understanding. It could be based on their commonsensical knowledge, it could be based on their personal experiences, right? So whatever they have seen, whatever they know, they will give you, all of them will give you different stories. So you will take the relevant content. What is very important here? The investigator cannot be one like this. He cannot be a common man. He needs to be a trained investigator. Okay? Who should be capable of selecting the right content. So analyze the stories people tell to understand that situation. So people tell different stories. You need to be in a position to analyze and bring out the proper conclusion. And everyday life focus, okay, emphasize on study common everyday. These are I have explained and given in the actual class and also in the PDF, reflexivity and indexicality. Okay, key elements of positivist approach. When you discussed about, non-positivist approach, positivism, we talked about external aspect. So what it will be here? Internal aspect. We discussed about scientific approach. Do we use scientific methods here? No. We discussed about objective understanding. Here, subjective meanings is what you're going to study. There we discussed about theory. Here there is no theory. When there is no theory, there is no question of testing. Right? So that's it. So here it's all about no theory, no testing, no objectivity, complete subjectivity, understanding the meaning. It's all about understanding internal aspect. That's it. Emphasizing on understanding social phenomena in terms of internal aspects such as meaning, sentiments, emotions, motives, etc. They generally reject the use of scientific methods similar to natural science. You can have your own methods like method of account, which I have told you, but scientific methods, strict no, like in the case of natural science. And you prefer qualitative data. What is the difference between quantitative and qualitative? Quantitative dealing in numbers, qualitative dealing in text. You're asking the people the stories and you collect the stories here. There you ask the people the numbers or yes or no. You're conducting a study on domestic violence. You will be asked, are you facing the problem? Yes, no, that's it. Alcoholism? Yes, no. This is how the output. That is easy to research. This, you need to get the detailed story. These approaches often reject the possibility of general theories, no theory. Understanding is what preferred. Non-positivist favor subjectivity because it's a subjective understanding of subjective reality, and they highlight the futility of purely objective approach. According to them, objective approach is not possible in sociology as you are dealing with human beings. Human beings dealing with human beings, it cannot be objective. Okay, and consider this as neither possible nor desirable. It's not desirable. Why? You are studying human being. It's not possible. Why? Again, you are studying human being. Absolute objectivity is not possible. So it's all about understanding, using qualitative methods, subjectivity is favored, and it need to be context specific. Here I am summarizing whatever I have mentioned here. Now limitations. See guys, if you look into this, there is an objectivity-subjectivity dilemma. I told you after positivist Weber, but Weber says it need to be objective. Okay, the deviation. So initial non-positivist, if you see, they favor objectivity, though subject matter have changed. They favor theories. They favor the use of scientific methods. But later non-positivist, Alfred Schutz, Birger Luckmann, Harold Garfinkel, they favor subjectivity. So among the non-positivist itself, there is lack of consensus. Clear? Time and cost intensive, right? Requires specialized training. I told you, if in positivist approach, you can go and take the survey. Even expert is not required. You can send your assistants also to collect. You can even send a sheet, Google sheet also to collect the data. You can even conduct the survey in internet. But here you need to go get the stories. So time and effort. Potential for inconsistent results. Different people will tell different stories, so inconsistent result. Limited applicability to macro phenomena. Small phenomena only you can study. Large scale, it is difficult, impossible. Difficult in theory building. Accusation of being unscientific. They don't care. They don't want to make it science. Theory building also, they don't want to make it actually. So that's not a big deal. Now later you will see combination of positivist and non-positivist approach. Go and read this guys completely. I've already discussed about this. Parson, Merton, because positivism ignoring internal aspect, non-positivism ignoring external aspect, positivism ignoring individual or micro, non-positivism ignoring external or macro aspect. So combination is required. That's what you see from 1940s onwards, Parson, Merton, etc. So positivist element like quantitative method, scientific approach, theory building, non-positivist element, qualitative, interpretive approach, context specific, both are required actually. So you will see a combination of this approach, combining these methods as per the requirement of the research. Okay. So you don't want to stick to that theoretical purity, or you don't want to tell that you're a positivist or a non-positivist. You use the method. Sometimes qualitative data is required. So use that. Sometimes quantitative data is required. Use that. Sometimes to to test the qualitative, the theory developed or understanding developed with the qualitative data, you may need to use quantitative data. So it all depends on the situation. Okay. So these can be separate questions also. Future directions. Guys, these are all discussed in the class. Interdisciplinary approach, ethical consideration. I have discussed already clinical sociology, criminal sociology, sociology of health. All these we have done the discussion. Technology integration, AI integration, everything we discussed. Our conclusion. Non-positivist method have deepened our insights into social life. Ongoing integration, the continued blending and methodological diversity. Okay. So that's all about this session, guys. I hope it's very clear, very, very clear. There is nothing we left here. So thank you so much for watching. In case if you are interested in the mentorship program, you can get in touch with us. Courses you can get directly. The notes, if you want, you'll get free of cost also. Okay. See you guys in the next session.